Alright, everyone. Tonight, we journey into a winter so severe it would likely claim a life in a single evening. If one were abandoned outside, with nothing but a contemporary fleece coat for protection. Envision snow mounded like pale ocean swells against walls of bark, the forest creaking under the burden of ice, the river frozen solid into a sheet of glass. You draw your shoulders in tighter against the cold, for this is the domain of the Longhouse, a wooden skeletal frame of a building where countless individuals press together, somehow avoiding transformation into frozen statues by daybreak. So before you settle in, pause for a moment to show your appreciation for the video and subscribe, but only if you truly value the content I create. And if you do, share your geographic location and current time in the comments section. I deeply enjoy discovering who's still conscious out there. Now, lower the lighting. You plod toward the Longhouse, and the initial impression is its sheer mass. These are not snug cottages. They extend like grounded vessels, 60 or occasionally a full 100 feet in length. Imagine the vast cargo holds of ships, except here they are not for trade goods, but for people. 30 or 40 feet across, you can see the entire structure of woven mats and hides stretched over a framework of wood. The thick beams supporting the roof are laid horizontally, reminiscent of ship's timbers, and the entire thing is raised slightly off the ground on posts, sometimes as many as 4 feet high. Here, beneath this shelter, thousands of souls huddle together. The floor is a packed earth, littered with bodies, half submerged in furs and animal skins, their breath clouding the frigid air. Fires sputter in clay pits sunk into the packed earth, offering meager defense against the biting wind that whistles through cracks in the walls. Women rock their babies, their voices blending with the murmur of prayers and the rasp of old men recounting tales of winters past, each syllable laden with the weight of survival. Here in the heart of the Longhouse, far from the biting winds that lash against the walls, an elder tends a small fire. His face, a roadmap of wrinkles, reflects the dancing flames as he leans forward, his cloudy eyes seeming to peer into your very soul. A hush falls over the crowd as he speaks, his voice raspy yet resonant, each word carrying the weight of generations past. The stories he weaves are not merely tales, but survival guides, each retelling a strategy, a tactic against the relentless grip of winter. He speaks of hunts gone by, of traps expertly set and animals brought down, providing sustenance in the darkest months when the world outside seems intent on devouring all who dare venture forth. His words paint vivid pictures of the icy plains, of snowdrifts so high they threatened to engulf their shelters, and of blizzards that roared with such fury they could freeze a man's heart in an instant. Yet amidst these tales of peril, there's a thread of triumph, a testament to the human spirit's indomitable will to survive. He speaks of communal efforts, of coming together to reinforce their homes, to prepare for the worst winter could throw at them. The memory of those lost to the unforgiving cold is honored, their sacrifices serving as a reminder and a lesson. With each story, the young learn, their eyes wide with wonder and apprehension. They listen intently, absorbing not just the words, but the lessons woven between them. For these are not just stories, they're a survival guide, a manual for enduring the icy ordeal that lies ahead. The elder's voice echoes in the vast space of the Longhouse, weaving its way into the very fabric of their lives, ensuring that the wisdom of ages past is carried forward into the heart of the unending winter. Before the advent of modern meteorological records, the severity of sub-zero temperatures was often gauged anecdotally. Tales of survival, or more commonly, the grim toll of lives lost due to the unrelenting cold. Such stories painted a vivid picture of the challenges faced by early humans during the harsh winters of the Ice Age. The winters of the Ice Age were brutal, unforgiving stretches of frigid temperatures that tested the limits of human endurance. Without the benefit of modern clothing, shelter, or food preservation techniques, early humans were at the mercy of the elements. The sun's feeble rays struggled to penetrate the dense cloud cover, casting a perpetual gloom over the landscape. Snow piled high, forming thick drifts that muffled the sounds of the world, and threatened to engulf any unfortunate enough to stumble within them. The biting wind howled, carrying with it icy particles that tore at exposed skin, causing immediate and excruciating frostbite. Rivers froze solid, transforming into treacherous sheets of ice that cracked and groaned under the strain of the relentless cold. Animals perished, some seeking refuge in burrows or seeking their fate in the frozen north. Others simply collapsed, their bodies stiffening into lifeless sculptures of the wild creatures that once roamed free. Amidst this frozen wasteland, humans huddled together for warmth, seeking solace in numbers. Caves became temporary sanctuaries, offering a break from the wind and snow. Bonfires crackled, providing not just warmth, but a sense of security and community. The hunt took on a new level of importance. The necessity of survival drove early humans to push deeper into the frozen wilderness in search of prey. Animal bones tell a tale of this struggle, showing evidence of more desperate measures being taken as the weather worsened. Sledges were invented and mastered, allowing for transportation across the snow-covered expanses. Animal skins were ingeniously utilized, not just for clothing, but also for crafting sled runners, improving traction and control over the slick ice. The cold itself became a formidable opponent, an entity to be respected and understood. Humans began to observe patterns, learning the nuances of the icy season. They studied animal behavior, plant growth, even the shifting winds, gaining insights that allowed them to predict the severity of blizzards or the best time to traverse frozen landscapes. Oral histories were filled with tales of survival, cautionary notes about the dangers of the cold and the importance of community and preparation. These stories served as a kind of collective memory, ensuring that each generation was ready for the icy ordeal that lay ahead. The winter solstice marked both a physical and psychological low point. As the days grew shorter and the cold intensified, a sense of foreboding would settle over the survivors. It was a stark reminder of humanity's vulnerability, a humbling acknowledgement that, despite their ingenuity and resilience, they were at the mercy of nature's unyielding embrace. This period was not just about enduring, it was about clinging to hope, waiting for the sun's return and the promise of milder days ahead. And still, life found a way to persist. Despite the bone-deep weariness and the gnawing hunger that often accompanied these harsh winters, life went on. Babies were born, their first cries echoing the struggle for survival that had been a part of the human condition since the dawn of time. Communities rallied together, sharing resources, skills, and most importantly, their stories. Each wrinkle on an elder's face was a testament to winters endured, a roadmap of the icy challenges overcome. Within the heart of the longhouse, nestled amidst the murmurs of survival strategies and the crackling of fires, a profound sense of community prevailed. The elders, revered for their wisdom and experience, became living repositories of knowledge. Their weathered faces, etched with the stories of countless winters, served as a constant reminder of the icy trials that lay ahead. But their presence also offered a beacon of hope, a testament to the human spirit's ability to not just endure, but to thrive even in the harshest of conditions. As the winter progressed, the longhouse became a microcosm of life during the Ice Age. Every aspect of existence was affected by the relentless cold. From the gathering of scarce resources to the constant battle against freezing temperatures, this environment became a crucible, testing the limits of human adaptability and resilience. But within this crucible, life not only survived, it found a way to persevere. The birth of a child, the sharing of stories around a flickering fire, the collective effort to reinforce the longhouse against the biting winds. All of these acts were a testament to the tenacity of the human spirit. It was a spirit that refused to be cowed by the icy grip of winter, a determination to not just endure, but to live, to learn, and to adapt in the face of seemingly insurmountable challenges. The longhouse stood as a symbol of this indomitable spirit, a physical structure that housed the very essence of human resilience. During one of the most inhospitable periods in Earth's history. This is incredible. When you get to this level of craftsmanship, It makes you wonder if these structures weren't built by normal humans, but rather by giants. In fact, these structures really make you question who built them and why. What was life like back then? The Iroquois Confederacy, also known as the Haudenosaunee, meaning people of the Longhouse, are an alliance of 6 North American tribes. Their historic territory spanned from the Great Lakes to the Gulf of Mexico. Today, their presence echoes in the southeastern United States, primarily in Oklahoma and Wisconsin. But the Iroquois legacy resonates far and wide, influencing cultures from Florida to Maine. It's no secret the Iroquois are legendary for their magnificent longhouses. These aren't just dwellings. They're a testament to human ingenuity, resourcefulness, and communal spirit. These magnificent structures are a cultural cornerstone for the Iroquois people, embodying their history, values, and adaptations to the environment. Picture this, a world without nails or glue, where the marriage of wood and earth yielded architectural marvels. Welcome to our exploration of the Iroquois Longhouse, where history comes alive through its construction and significance. Before we dive into the details, I have a request. If you find this video intriguing, please show your support. Your engagement means a lot. Now, let's embark on this journey. Imagine stepping into a world where towering timber walls embrace you in their protective shadows, where elm bark shingles whispered tales of ancient craftsmanship, and where central fires painted with flickering flames danced to the rhythm of daily life. This isn't a scene from a fantasy novel. It's a glimpse into the heart of an Iroquois village, a place where tradition and nature's bounty intertwined to create a spectacle of human resilience and creativity. The Iroquois people, renowned for their architectural brilliance, crafted longhouses that were more than just shelters. They were symbols of community, defense, and cultural identity. Picture this, a vast rectangular structure stretching up to 200 feet in length and 50 feet in width, with walls soaring up to 12 feet high. Each longhouse was a microcosm of the community it housed, with multiple families sharing the space under a common roof. It wasn't just about practicality, it was about fostering a sense of belonging and collective responsibility. The longhouse was a visual representation of the Iroquois concept of extended family and community interdependence. Within these grand halls, the nuclear family was the basic unit, but it was the larger kinship group, the clan, that held sway over the affairs of the longhouse. Each clan, comprising both maternal relatives and those who traced their descent through female ancestors, brought their distinct identity to the shared dwelling. In this way, the longhouse became a mosaic of family units, each contributing to the vibrant tapestry of the community. Now, let's delve into the construction of these architectural marvels. First, the selection of materials was a testament to the Iroquois' deep understanding of their environment. Long, straight, sturdy trees were chosen for the main supporting structure. Timber posts ascended like a rib cage, curved inward and bound fast, then sheathed in shingled sheets of elm bark. These bark panels, meticulously stripped from the elm trees, were not merely aesthetic elements, but served a vital purpose. They provided insulation, helping maintain a comfortable interior temperature during the harsh winters of their habitat. As you gaze at the finished structure, imagine the skilled hands that shaped every component, ensuring not just aesthetics, but functionality and durability. But what truly sets the Iroquois longhouse apart? It's the masterful use of natural materials. The walls, a symphony of wood and bark, stand as a testament to the ingenuity of the builders. The timber frame, often crafted from hemlock or oak, formed the skeletal structure, providing the strength and stability essential for such a large dwelling. The spaces between these posts were then filled with smaller branches and twigs, creating a latticework that was later covered with the bark shingles. It's a matter of simple logic. People don't just up and disappear. They either move somewhere else or they die. And if you're alive, then somewhere there is some record of you having been alive. So when people do vanish from our midst, we are compelled to ask why. What happened to them? Where have they gone? This question of missing persons compels me to tell you about a place where people seem to go to vanish. It was called the Big Bend of the Missouri River, and it was located near today's Sioux City, Iowa. There were several villages in this bend, which lay in the heart of what is now known as the Great Plains. But the people who lived there left behind no written records and no trace of their existence, except for what other tribes told us. This absence of evidence makes it difficult to piece together what happened to these people. Did they relocate somewhere else? Or did they disappear because of something tragic? Let's find out what we can. Researchers concur that longhouses employed central fire pits aligned in a row, each one serving 2 family units. A commonly accepted fact is that among the Haudenosaunee, multiple immediate families constituted what they named a clan, and that clan occupied a section of hearth and sleeping area within a collective longhouse. To be clear, it wasn't a democratic egalitarian arrangement. Instead, the nuclear family, headed by the oldest male, was prioritized. Within this structure, a matrilineal reckoning system kept track of lineage through the mother's line. Consequently, children belonged to the clan of their mother, and upon marriage, women typically moved to reside with the family of their husband, bringing their children along. Men, on the other hand, stayed put, and the women would join them there. The fire is both literal and metaphorical, providing warmth and binding you into a web of kin who would notice should your breathing cease in the darkness. Imagine being surrounded by the soothing crackle of a central fire, its warmth enveloping you as you share stories and laughter with your clan members. This scene is more than just a cozy gathering around a fire. It's a testament to the strength and resilience of the Haudenosaunee people. Their longhouses weren't just shelters. They were the heart and soul of their communities, providing not only warmth and light, but also a sense of belonging and security. In these longhouses, the past, present, and future intertwined. The elders shared their wisdom, ensuring that the younger generations carried on their traditions and values. The women's roles as caregivers and knowledge holders were central, while the men's responsibilities often extended beyond the longhouse, connecting them to the wider world. And when the time came for a clan member to depart, whether for a journey or a new chapter in life, the community rallied together to support them, knowing that the bonds of family and friendship would endure. Now, here is an unusual fragment. Snow occasionally served as part of the insulation. When blizzards raged, households did not clear it away, but permitted banks to accumulate high against the exterior walls, like a blanket provided by nature. It sounds contradictory. You associate snow with chill, but snow is primarily air captured within ice crystals. That stagnant air layer clings to the bark and blunts the savage wind. If you ever constructed a snow fort as a child, you know how well snow can insulate. Sometimes, these mounds reached incredible heights, up to 12 feet. An accumulation like that could keep the occupants warm enough, even if the temperature outside dropped below zero. Of course, there were drawbacks. Every so often, someone would need to venture out and brush off the roof to prevent collapse. But this was preferable to relocating elsewhere during the winter. During the summer months, the residents of these longhouses were active hunters, fishers, and gatherers. The men hunted buffalo and other animals, while the women gathered berries and other plants. They also kept bees and made maple sugar. In the winter, they lived off their stores of food, including dried meat, fish, and fruit. Longhouses were not just places of residence, but also served as community spaces for important events such as clan meetings, ceremonies, and social gatherings. These longhouses were designed not just for practicality, but also for community building, fostering a sense of unity and interdependence among the inhabitants. The design of the longhouse was not static, but evolved over time, influenced by factors such as population growth, changing environmental conditions, and interactions with other cultures. For example, as clans grew larger, longhouses became longer and wider to accommodate more people. Additionally, the introduction of new materials and technologies, such as metal tools and new construction techniques, may have led to variations in the size and design of long. Furthermore, interactions with other Native American tribes and cultures may have influenced the architectural styles and design elements of the longhouses, as different tribes had their own unique cultural traits and building techniques. The exchange of ideas and resources could have resulted in the adoption of new features and modifications to traditional designs. However, it's important to note that the longhouse was not merely a physical structure, but also a symbol of the Haudenosaunee way of life, reflecting their social, cultural, and spiritual values. Despite any changes or adaptations, the longhouse remained a central element of Haudenosaunee culture, providing a tangible link to their heritage and identity. But the history of these native peoples is not all peace and harmony. Sometimes they fought wars with neighboring tribes, especially when it came to claiming land or defending their way of life. One such conflict was the Fox-Sauk War of 1832, which pitted the Sauk and Fox tribes against the United States Army. This war was caused by the U.S. government's attempts to force the Sauk and Fox to sell their land in Illinois and move to a reservation in Iowa. However, the Sauk and Fox resisted, leading to armed conflict. During this war, the Sauk and Fox allies suffered a major defeat at the Battle of Bad Axe, resulting in the death or capture of many warriors. Those captured included Black Hawk, a respected leader of the Sauk. After the war, the surviving Sauk and Fox were forced to relocate to reservations in Oklahoma, far from their ancestral lands. This event marked a tragic chapter in the history of the Sauk and Fox people, demonstrating the devastating impact of westward expansion on Native American tribes. As we reflect on this dark period, let us remember the resilience and strength of these indigenous nations. Despite facing immense challenges and displacement, the Haudenosaunee Sauk and Fox people have preserved their cultures and traditions, continuing to thrive and contribute to our world today. Their stories serve as a reminder of the importance of honoring their histories, respecting their rights, and working towards a future that recognizes their invaluable place in our society. Let us honor their legacy by learning from their experiences and working to create a better future for all. And now, I want to tell you about something amazing. Our team has created an immersive experience that lets you explore ancient Native American history like never before. You can virtually walk among the ruins of ancient villages, learn about their daily life and customs, and even see what their settlements looked like in their heyday. It's like stepping back in time and experiencing history firsthand. But that's not all. WeVA also created a special educational resource that brings ancient Native Americans to life through the eyes of a modern Native perspective. You'll get to know their stories, traditions, and culture through engaging activities and exhibits. This exhibit is not just informative, it's also deeply moving. You'll learn about the struggles and resilience of the indigenous people and gain a deeper understanding of their contributions to our world. What's more, we've taken great care to ensure that our exhibit is culturally sensitive and respectful, working closely with Native advisors to make sure that we portray their history and culture accurately and with respect. We believe that this exhibit is an essential addition to the National Museum, It will help visitors of all ages learn about the rich history and culture of indigenous people and the challenges they faced. We hope that it will inspire a sense of empathy, understanding, and appreciation for their unique perspectives and contributions. So if you're interested in learning more about this exciting project and how you can support us, please visit our website. Together, we can bring this important exhibit to life and share the stories of ancient Native Americans with the world. In addition to the resources we've already mentioned, you can also check out some of our other videos, which are full of fascinating information about Native American history and culture. You are safe within the Longhouse, nestled amidst a circle of sturdy pillars and heavy hides, cocooned off from the wind's icy tooth outside. Yet the very tempest that terrified you on the path here is now aiding the Longhouse's coziness. But how warm could it get? After all, this is a pre-industrialized shelter, relying on wood fires for warmth and stacked animal hides for insulation. The wind claps against the wooden walls, a reassuring sound now that you are out of its reach. You breathe deeply, appreciating the faint, earthy musk of wet fur and wood smoke that permeates the space. A stark contrast to the biting cold that would have greeted you outside. Warmth. It's such a basic human need, isn't it? Just to be warm. In recent times, we've come to rely on centrally heated homes and offices, finding refuge from the elements at the mere flick of a switch. Our perception of warmth might be skewed, sentimentalized by nostalgia, or romanticized by tales of our ancestors' hardships. But what did warmth mean to those who lived in long? Could they ever truly escape the icy grip of winter? Or did the struggle against the cold linger at the core of their daily lives? The word warm itself is loaded with connotations. We think of snug fireplaces, thick blankets, and cups of hot chocolate. Images often tied to fond childhood memories or the promise of comfort at day's end. But the reality of warmth, especially in the context of ancient shelters like longhouses, is more nuanced. And so you are left wondering, just how warm was it really inside a longhouse? To answer this question, we must peel back layers of history and hearsay, separating fact from fiction, to see if these shelters were indeed sanctuaries of warmth, or if life inside them was a constant battle against the elements. Let's jump right into it. Longhouses, the quintessential dwelling of early Native American cultures, are often portrayed as bastions of warmth and community. But the truth of their internal temperatures remains a mystery lost to time. Experts contest just how cozy it truly was. What we consider warm is subjective, influenced by factors like age, health, and even emotional state. But generally, it's believed that a comfortable indoor temperature hovers around 68 degrees Fahrenheit, or about 20 degrees Celsius. This is the Goldilocks zone, where most people feel cozy without overheating. But achieving this inside a longhouse was a delicate balancing act. Certain investigators propose the interior temperature lingered barely above freezing, only just sufficient to prevent frostbite. Others assert that with packed occupants, stoked fires, and hides layered thickly, the inside could feel authentically warm, perhaps even excessively so for comfort. The concept of a central heating system is a relatively modern invention. Before the Industrial Revolution, people relied on localized heat sources like fireplaces or braziers. In a longhouse setting, a central hearth would radiate heat, but its effectiveness depended on factors like size, fuel source, and construction. A small fire might struggle to warm a large, drafty space, while a roaring blaze could potentially overheat and dry out the interior. Moreover, the number of people sharing the longhouse would influence the microclimates within. A crowded space would trap body heat, making it warmer but less comfortable. Conversely, a sparsely occupied longhouse might feel chilly, but offer more personal space. As you stand there contemplating the central hearth, its flames flickering invitingly, you realize that the sensation of warmth is a complex interplay of various factors. It's not just about the temperature of the air, but also about personal perception, the materials used in construction, and the activities carried out within the longhouse. The very definition of warmth is fluid, shaped by our individual experiences and cultural narratives. How warm was it in the longhouse? Perhaps it was as warm or as cold as the hearts of those who studied it. The problem with determining how warm a longhouse could get is that we often reliant on a handful of sources for our understanding. Much of what we know comes from archaeological excavations, which can reveal details about the construction and use of a longhouse, including the types of materials used and evidence of fires. However, these sources provide a limited perspective on temperature. Excavations can uncover the remnants of hearths and the types of fuel used, giving us clues about the heating practices of the inhabitants. For example, the presence of multiple hearths might suggest efforts to maintain a consistent and comfortable temperature throughout the space. Archaeologists can also analyze the preserved plant remains, such as charred seeds or wood, to gain insights into the types of fires that were lit. Different fuels burn at different temperatures and produce varying amounts of heat. By examining the fuel sources, researchers can estimate the potential heat output and overall warmth generated within the longhouse. Yet a critical aspect of the longhouse experience is the role of animal hides used for insulation and creating a seal against the elements. These hides are organic materials that decompose quickly, leaving little physical evidence behind. Therefore, the extent and quality of insulation employed in a particular longhouse might be challenging to assess. When the longhouse was occupied, people's activities would have contributed to the internal temperature. The density of the population within the structure would have played a significant role, as a larger number of occupants could generate more body heat, making the space feel warmer. But imagine the chaos of a longhouse teeming with life. Mothers nursing infants, hunters recounting tales of the wild, children playing games. All these activities would generate body heat, possibly increasing the internal temperature. The collective breath of the community, the soft murmur of voices, the gentle rustle of hides. All these elements would weave together to form a unique microclimate within the longhouse. However, in attempting to piece together this microclimate, we encounter limitations. Historical records kept by early European explorers and settlers often provide first-hand accounts of longhouse interiors, offering valuable insights into their warmth. These accounts can describe the materials used, the construction techniques, and even the daily life within the longhouses. They may also include observations about the temperature or the efforts made to maintain warmth during the harsh winters. For instance, some accounts might mention the use of special tools, like fire saws, to increase the draft of the fire. Or they could detail how residents adjusted the placement of beds or partitions to optimize heat circulation. However, it's important to recognize the potential biases and perspectives of these historical records. Early European explorers and settlers might have viewed longhouses through the lens of their own culture, potentially leading to interpretations that favor their own experiences and understandings of warmth. What we determine to be a reliable account may have been written by someone more interested in portraying the supposed savagery of indigenous cultures than in recording the intricacies of their daily lives. Imagine standing within the confines of a longhouse, the rough-hewn pillars supporting the roof pressing down overhead. These sounds could hint at a sense of security and connection that comes from being surrounded by the warmth of loved ones. You imagine the smell of wood smoke mingling with the aroma of cooking food, creating a comforting, almost nostalgic ambience. This sensory experience, unique to the longhouse setting, speaks to the idea that warmth can be both literal and metaphorical. How warm could a longhouse get? Well, the answer seems to lie somewhere between a drafty shed and a toasty haven. The truth is, it probably wasn't as hot as a sauna, but it may have felt warmer than you'd expect. The reality of warmth, especially in historical contexts like Native American longhouses, is a nuanced experience shaped by numerous factors. While it's impossible to pinpoint an exact temperature range, Exploring various sources and accounts can give us a glimpse into the microclimates that existed within these structures. From archaeological findings to historical records, we can piece together fragments of information to form a picture of life inside a longhouse. The ingredients are simple: a well-built structure, insulating hides, a steady fuel source, and a tight-knit community. The recipe for warmth is a testament to the ingenuity and adaptability of those who lived in these environments. Despite the challenges posed by harsh weather conditions, they created spaces that offered not just protection, but a sense of warmth and belonging. So as you stand within the longhouse, surrounded by the remnants of a bygone era, remember that warmth is more than just a number on a thermometer. It's a reflection of human resilience, resourcefulness, and the enduring power of community. The steam from the cook fire had nowhere to go, so it condensed right there on the roof. And since it's always coldest where the water drips, that's where the ice formed first, which meant when the sun came out, that was the first place it melted. Just a little drip, just a little taste of dripping water on hot coals. That sent up a spurt of steam and scattered sparks. One of them landed on the thatch roof. The old woman saw it and slapped the spot with her hand. It was a small, poor fire, the sort that struggled just to keep itself alive through the night. But they were keeping a low profile anyway, and that was for the best. Smoke, it exterminates fleas and lice. It discourages rodents, and it even keeps some disease carriers at a distance. It also desiccates meat and hides suspended overhead. So yes, your lungs smart somewhat, but without that haze, you might awaken itchier, hungrier, and colder. This story comes from a book called The Overstory by Richard Powers. It's about a family living in an ancient forest. Their lives are totally dependent on the natural world around them. And today we're going to talk about one of the most pervasive elements of that environment: smoke. Smoke. It signals fires and danger, sure, but it's also cozy, comforting. We burn wood and sage to make it, chase away evil spirits, and attract good ones. In some communities, smokehouses play a critical role in food preparation. They're used to dry, cure, and preserve meats and fish. Here in the Pacific Northwest, smoke is synonymous with fall. Every year, local First Nations peoples practice cultural burning to manage their lands and waters. Controlled fires help clear out brush and dead undergrowth, which helps new plants grow and provides habitat for animals. In some places, they even encourage larger wildfires, because big fires help release nutrients back into the ecosystem and stimulate the growth of culturally significant plants like huckleberries. Fire and smoke are powerful forces of nature, but they can also be put to work. When the air grows cold, people and animals alike seek shelter, seeking refuge from the wind in caves, under bridges, in hollowed-out logs, or nestled together for warmth. People don't have fur coats like mammals do, so we create artificial shelters and then fill those shelters with smoke. We turn what could be a deadly force of nature into a tool. We learn to harness the benefits of smoke and fire while mitigating their risks. In the story, the old woman slaps the sparking ember back into the fire pit. She doesn't want anyone spotting the smoke rising from this camp. Not now, not when she's got young children with her. There's safety in obscurity. The darkness grants them anonymity, allowing them to be just another smoldering fire in the endless black expanse. They woke up with the sun, though. As it climbed higher in the sky, the forest began to stir. Birds took flight, scattering through the trees, chirping warnings to each other, warnings that went mostly unheard. A deer snorted in the ferns, stamping out the embers of a fox that had stalked too close. A squirrel chattered from its dray, scolding the intrusive daylight. The humans slept on, lulled by the sounds of the forest coming to life, the gentle rustle of awakening leaves, the sighing of wind through the canopy, the constant murmur of running water. Sounds that once were frightening, but now were just the background music of home. Some of us listen to music to wake up. Some of us like to ease into the day with soft melodies drifting across our eyelids. For these people, they wake to the symphony of the forest. They were born in the wild, and their ears learned to tune out the cacophony of crashing limbs and squawking birds, focusing instead on the whispers of the woods. A snapping twig, the rustle of underbrush, the the gurgling of a nearby stream. These sounds are their alarms, their calls to action. They tell the humans when it's time to tend the fire, move to a new hunting ground, or flee from danger. We often try to escape noise, trying to drown it out with headphones or white noise machines. But for these characters, they find peace in the noise, learning to listen and finding their place within the symphony. The auditory environment adds to your peculiar comfort. Beyond the walls, you detect wolves vocalizing in the woods. But inside it is the cadence of snores, the popping of sap in the fuel wood, the faint groaning of timbers expanding and contracting. Youngsters mumble in dreams, elders clear their throats, and occasionally someone chuckles softly at a tale shared before sleep. All these noises merge into a lullaby of perseverance. You are not solitary. You are part of a biological furnace. These kinds of furnaces are common throughout the northern hemisphere. They're found in Siberia, Alaska, and Canada, Scandinavia, Northern Europe, and the Pacific Northwest, among other places. They're typically made of logs, stones, and sometimes animal hides. People construct them in a dome shape and fill the gaps between rocks and logs with moss, grass, animal dung, whatever they have handy. They feed the fire with small sticks and watch as smoke pours out the back of the structure. Once the fire is established, people climb inside and curl up on the warm rocks. They might sleep there all day, waiting for the sun to set before returning to their village. You are part of a biological furnace. Your body works in much the same way. When you shiver, you're essentially starting a fire inside. Your muscles contract rapidly, generating heat. You are burning calories, converting stored energy into a source of warmth. If you're cold, shivering will raise your core temperature by about 1 degree, which can make a huge difference. You'll use up about 300 calories per hour. And according to the Mayo Clinic, the average adult needs about 2,000 calories a day. So if you shiver continuously for 6 hours, you've burned about 15% of your daily caloric needs. Shivering increases your heart rate, speeds up your breathing, and triggers the release of adrenaline. So you're not only generating heat, you're preparing your body to fight or flight. If you're trapped outside in sub-zero temperatures, shivering may be the difference between life and death. In the story, the people aren't just surviving, they're thriving. They've learned to live in harmony with the forest. They know how to use its resources and listen to its warnings. They understand the delicate balance of the ecosystem and respect the power of fire and smoke. They've learned to thrive in a harsh environment, finding comfort in the smoke-filled air, listening to the music of the forest, and turning their bodies into furnaces. They know that survival is not just about enduring, it's about adapting, innovating, and above all, persevering. And that brings us to the final line of this passage. The entire edifice breathes with its inhabitants. It exhales smoke, smoke that carries with it the scent of burning resin and wood smoke, smoke that has the power to ward off pests and purify the air smoke. That is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Have you ever huddled around a bonfire on a chilly night? Have you ever sat in a smoky sauna and felt the heat penetrate deep into your bones? Have you ever taken a deep breath and inhaled the crisp, clean air after a forest fire? How did that feel? What thoughts ran through your head? What images came to mind? You find yourself outside, bracing against the wind. Snow falls, whipped into whirling eddies by the gale. You pull your thin jacket tighter, tucking your chin down. The forest is a daunting gray-white expanse. Bare branches writhe against the sullen sky. Even the birds have abandoned this place. The sun, a pale ghost behind the clouds, offers no warmth. Winter has teeth here, and you feel the bite of its breath on your lungs with every gust. You trudge on, moving from tree to tree, finding shelter from the wind briefly, only to be buffeted anew as you round the trunk and come to the other side. Each tree offers the same. A stark silhouette against the swirling snow, a promise of momentary respite, a cruel joke played by a pitiless sky. What hope is there of finding something more substantial here? Yet still, you seek it, some sign, some signal that you are not utterly alone in this white wilderness. Then, through the trees, you see it, a flicker of movement, a dark shape outlined against the snow. Hope surges, quickening your pace. As you near the clearing, you see two more shapes and then three. They are gathered around something in the center of the space between the trees. You call out, your voice hoarse from the cold, and they turn, their faces etched with surprise, then welcoming smiles. One of them, a woman with cheeks as pink as the berries that stain the snow beneath them, runs forward. "You found us," she says, her breath misting in the air. "We were looking for you." She reaches out, taking your arm, pulling you toward the fire. The others rise, their faces weathered, their eyes bright with life. They are wrapped in furs, their feet protected by knee-high boots that leave deep imprints in the packed snow. One of them, a man with a thick, dark beard, hands you a wooden bowl filled with a steaming broth. You eat, warmed from the inside out by the savory liquid. As the broth nourishes you, so does the fire. It burns brightly, sending sparks spiraling up to join the dancing snowflakes. Around it are piled logs, some freshly cut, others half submerged in the snow, waiting patiently for their turn to feed the flames. The fire is the heart of the clearing, and you are drawn to it as surely as if it were a lodestone. Sitting close, you watch the flames weave their silent magic. Your eyelids grow heavy. You are drawing in just sufficient oxygen to sustain you. And when you finally recline, stretching out on an elevated wooden platform lined with woven mats, you comprehend the brilliance. You are raised above the frozen earth, nestled under a stratum of hides, with bodies pressed nearby. You are enveloped in a bubble of shared human resolve. Outside, snow pounds the bark like percussion. Inside, the bark holds. That is how you slumber, not in comfort as you know it, but in a rough, smoky, miraculous warmth carved from the forest. You sleep, but you are not dreaming. In the flickering firelight, you see the worried crease in the woman's brow, the strong lines around the man's eyes, the determined set of their jaws. You see the way they look at each other, the unspoken understanding in their gestures, the way they move as one in this alien landscape. You see the fearsome beauty of winter here, too, the way the wind keens like a hungry wolf, the way the snow falls silently, relentlessly, the way the shadows lengthen and the cold seeps into your bones. When you wake, the fire has burned low, but the embers glow, promising warmth to all who seek it. The woman stirs the embers, coaxing them back to life. The man sharpens a knife on a wet stone, his movements economical, precise. You sit up, rubbing the sleep from your eyes. They regard you with quiet intensity. You know they have stories to tell, tales of survival, of hardship, of loss, perhaps even of death. You know, too, that they have secrets, things they do not speak aloud, things that bind them together in this unforgiving wilderness. You sense that they are wary not only of the world outside the fire, but of the world inside. The silence stretches, taut and heavy, until at last the woman looks up, her gaze steady. "Are you ready?" she asks, her voice roughened by the wind and the cold. "To learn how we live." As the sun rises, sending pale fingers of light through the bare branches, you know you are about to learn what it means to survive in the teeth of winter. You are about to learn what it means to be truly alive. In this video, we're going to talk about the longhouse, specifically its hearth fires. And now, let's go back to the video. The hearth fires flicker low in the obscurity, striping the longhouse in bands of orange and shadow. You chafe your arms and observe the manner each flame licks at the logs like a hungry tongue, steady yet fragile. Without these modest fires, everyone here would be lost to the cold by sunrise. The longhouse is not one single fireplace, but a sequence of them, spaced deliberately along the central aisle, each claimed by a family. Step too close, and you feel the heat flare. Step away, and you are in the chill again, like islets of warmth strung along a frozen stream. A mainstream fact is that these hearths served dual purposes, for cooking and for heating. These longhouses were usually built by the Huron people, also known as the Wendat, in their native language, and they lived primarily in what is today's southern Ontario and southern Quebec. The word longhouse describes both the dwelling and the community hall of the indigenous peoples of the Great Lakes region in eastern North America. The Iroquois Confederacy adopted the term after it was used to describe their style of communal dwelling. In the 16th century, European explorers who encountered the Iroquois and other tribes with similar dwellings adapted the term longhouse to English from the Dutch word langenhuis, which simply means longhouse. This type of dwelling is also known as a community house or a village house, and it reflects the importance of family units within the tribe. Longhouses have been documented in this area since the 1500s, and archaeological evidence suggests that they have been inhabited for thousands of years. As we step into the longhouse, our eyes struggle to pierce the gloom, but we perceive a vast cavern illuminated only by the dancing flames of a dozen hearths, spaced along the central aisle like the vertebrae of some prehistoric beast. Each fire is claimed by a different family and tended by women throughout the day, ensuring the safety of those sleeping nearby. Their flickering light reveals men weaving mats and clothing, while children play at their feet. Nearby, an elder carves a wooden mask, his face etched with the wisdom of countless winters. He pauses in his work and beckons us closer. His eyes twinkle with mirth, and he motions for us to join him in a storytelling session. We settle down around the fire, and soon his tales of bravery, love, and loss fill our ears, transporting us to a time when the world was young and the spirits walked among men. As the night deepens, we feel the warmth of the fire in our bones and the stories in our hearts. And when the first rays of dawn begin to creep through the cracks in the walls, we know it's time to rest until the next moon. Longhouses typically measure 82 feet by 20 feet, although there can be variations. These dimensions ensure that all members of the community have adequate space to gather, promoting a sense of unity and togetherness. Longhouses often accommodate up to 50 people, although their capacity can vary depending on the specific design and layout. This communal living arrangement allows for the formation of tight-knit social bonds among community members. Now, let's focus on the architecture and construction of this impressive structure. The roof of the longhouse features a distinctive turtle shell shape, characterized by a high ridge and sloping sides. This design element symbolizes the reverence the indigenous people had for the turtle, which held great cultural significance for them. The roof is supported by strong wooden poles that are planted firmly in the ground, creating a sturdy frame for the entire structure. These poles, typically made from oak or cedar trees, are chosen for their strength and durability, ensuring the longevity of the longhouse. The walls of the longhouse are constructed using planks made from cedar trees. These planks are carefully cut and fitted together, creating a solid and insulating barrier against the elements. The use of cedar, known for its natural resistance to decay, contributes to the overall durability of the structure. Additionally, the walls are sometimes adorned with decorative patterns and symbols that hold cultural significance for the indigenous people. These intricate designs often depict aspects of their history, mythology, or daily life, adding both aesthetic appeal and cultural richness to the longhouse. In terms of construction techniques, the builders of the longhouse employed sophisticated methods to ensure its stability and longevity. They used a combination of wooden pegs, pins, and notches to hold the structure together without the need for metal fasteners. This knowledge of woodworking and construction techniques allowed them to create a remarkably well-built and sustainable dwelling. When you enter the longhouse, you are greeted by a spacious and functional interior. The main area of the longhouse serves as a communal space for various activities such as storytelling, ceremonies, and feasts. In the center of the longhouse, you will find the hearth fires, which play a crucial role in the daily life of the community. These fires serve multiple purposes, providing warmth, light, and a source of cooking fuel. The hearth fires are typically made from a mixture of wood and coal, which burns more efficiently than wood alone. The ashes from the fires are collected and used for cleaning and preserving food. The smoke from the fires not only helps to purify the air, but also acts as a signal for community members to return home. The hearths are strategically placed along the central aisle of the longhouse, ensuring that everyone has access to their warmth and light. Each hearth is allocated to a particular family, which is responsible for tending to it. Women primarily manage the hearths, demonstrating their essential role in the community. They skillfully use long hooks to maneuver logs and embers, keeping the fires burning steadily. The fires not only provide practical benefits, but also serve as a gathering point for socializing and strengthening bonds within the community. Along the sides of the longhouse, you will find storage areas used for keeping food, clothing, and other essential items. These storage areas help to maintain order and cleanliness within the longhouse. Some longhouses even feature raised platforms that serve as sleeping areas for families. These platforms provide a sense of privacy and personal space within the communal dwelling. The overall interior of the longhouse is designed to maximize functionality and create a sense of unity and cooperation among the community members. It is a testament to the ingenuity and resourcefulness of the indigenous people who inhabited this dwelling. The Longhouse Museum, located near Toronto, offers a captivating glimpse into the lives of the indigenous peoples of the Great Lakes region within its walls. Visitors can explore a meticulously reconstructed longhouse that serves as a symbol of community, culture, and resilience. The museum's collection showcases a variety of artifacts, including pottery, tools, weapons, and ceremonial objects that provide insights into the traditions and customs of these indigenous cultures. One of the highlights of the Longhouse Museum is the longhouse reconstruction itself. Visitors can walk through the structure and experience firsthand the communal living arrangement that characterize these indigenous societies. The museum also features interactive exhibits that bring the history and culture of the indigenous peoples to life. Through these exhibits, visitors can learn about topics such as storytelling, traditional games, and the significance of the land and natural resources to these communities. Additionally, the museum offers educational programs and workshops that allow visitors to engage more deeply with the exhibits and learn practical skills such as beading, pottery making, and storytelling. Overall, the Longhouse Museum serves as a valuable resource for promoting cultural understanding and appreciation for the rich heritage of the indigenous peoples of the Great Lakes region. Its exhibits, collections, and educational programs provide visitors with a deeper appreciation for the resilience, ingenuity, and cultural contributions of these communities. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time. In this video, we're going to talk about the longhouse, specifically its hearth fires. And now, let's go back to the video. The hearth fires flicker low in the obscurity, striping the longhouse in bands of orange and shadow. You chafe your arms and observe the manner each flame licks at the logs like a hungry tongue, steady yet fragile. Without these modest fires, everyone here would be lost to the cold by sunrise. The longhouse is not one single fireplace, but a sequence of them, spaced deliberately along the central aisle, each claimed by a family. Step too close, and you feel the heat flare. Step away, and you are in the chill again, like islets of warmth strung along a frozen stream. A mainstream fact is that these hearths served dual purposes, for cooking and for heating. These longhouses were usually built by the Huron people, also known as the Wendat, in their native language, and they lived primarily in what is today's southern Ontario and southern Quebec. The word longhouse describes both the dwelling and the community hall of the indigenous peoples of the Great Lakes region in eastern North America. The Iroquois Confederacy adopted the term after it was used to describe their style of communal dwelling. In the 16th century, European explorers who encountered the Iroquois and other tribes with similar dwellings adapted the term longhouse to English from the Dutch word langenui, which simply means longhouse. This type of dwelling is also known as a community house or a village house, and it reflects the importance of family units within the tribe. Longhouses have been documented in this area since the 1500s, and archaeological evidence suggests that they have been inhabited for thousands of years. As we step into the longhouse, our eyes struggle to pierce the gloom, but we perceive a vast cavern illuminated only by the dancing flames of a dozen hearths, spaced along the central aisle like the vertebrae of some prehistoric beast. Each fire is claimed by a different family and tended by women throughout the day, ensuring the safety of those sleeping nearby. Their flickering light reveals men weaving mats and clothing, while children play at their feet. Nearby, an elder carves a wooden mask, his face etched with the wisdom of countless winters. He pauses in his work and beckons us closer. His eyes twinkle with mirth, and he motions for us to join him in a storytelling session. We settle down around the fire, and soon his tales of bravery, love, and loss fill our ears, transporting us to a time when the world was young and the spirits walked among men. As the night deepens, we feel the warmth of the fire in our bones and the stories in our hearts. And when the first rays of dawn begin to creep through the cracks in the walls, we know it's time to rest until the next moon. Longhouses typically measure 82 feet by 20 feet, although there can be variations. These dimensions ensure that all members of the community have adequate space to gather, promoting a sense of unity and togetherness. Longhouses often accommodate up to 50 people, although their capacity can vary depending on the specific design and layout. This communal living arrangement allows for the formation of tight-knit social bonds among community members. Now, let's focus on the architecture and construction of this impressive structure. The roof of the longhouse features a distinctive turtle shell shape, characterized by a high ridge and sloping sides. This design element symbolizes the reverence the indigenous people had for the turtle, which held great cultural significance for them. The roof is supported by strong wooden poles that are planted firmly in the ground, creating a sturdy frame for the entire structure. These poles, typically made from oak or cedar trees, are chosen for their strength and durability, ensuring the longevity of the longhouse. The walls of the longhouse are constructed using planks made from cedar trees. These planks are carefully cut and fitted together, creating a solid and insulating barrier against the elements. The use of cedar, known for its natural resistance to decay, contributes to the overall durability of the structure. Additionally, the walls are sometimes adorned with decorative patterns and symbols that hold cultural significance for the indigenous people. These intricate designs often depict aspects of their history, mythology, or daily life, adding both aesthetic appeal and cultural richness to the longhouse. In terms of construction techniques, the builders of the longhouse employed sophisticated methods to ensure its stability and longevity. They used a combination of wooden pegs, pins, and notches to hold the structure together without the need for metal fasteners. This knowledge of woodworking and construction techniques allowed them to create a remarkably well-built and sustainable dwelling. When you enter the longhouse, you are greeted by a spacious and functional interior. The main area of the longhouse serves as a communal space for various activities such as storytelling, ceremonies, and feasts. In the center of the longhouse, you will find the hearth fires, which play a crucial role in the daily life of the community. These fires serve multiple purposes, providing warmth, light, and a source of cooking fuel. The hearth fires are typically made from a mixture of wood and coal, which burns more efficiently than wood alone. The ashes from the fires are collected and used for cleaning and preserving food. The smoke from the fires not only helps to purify the air, but also acts as a signal for community members to return home. The hearths are strategically placed along the central aisle of the longhouse, ensuring that everyone has access to their warmth and light. Each hearth is allocated to a particular family, which is responsible for tending to it. Women primarily manage the hearths, demonstrating their essential role in the community. They skillfully use long hooks to maneuver logs and embers, keeping the fires burning steadily. The fires not only provide practical benefits, but also serve as a gathering point for socializing and strengthening bonds within the community. Along the sides of the longhouse, you will find storage areas used for keeping food, clothing, and other essential items. These storage areas help to maintain order and cleanliness within the longhouse. Some longhouses even feature raised platforms that serve as sleeping areas for families. These platforms provide a sense of privacy and personal space within the communal dwelling. The overall interior of the longhouse is designed to maximize functionality and create a sense of unity and cooperation among the community members. It is a testament to the ingenuity and resourcefulness of the indigenous people who inhabited this dwelling. The Longhouse Museum, located near Toronto, offers a captivating glimpse into the lives of the indigenous peoples of the Great Lakes region. Within its walls, visitors can explore a meticulously reconstructed longhouse that serves as a symbol of community, culture, and resilience. The museum's collection showcases a variety of artifacts, including pottery, tools, weapons, and ceremonial objects that provide insights into the traditions and customs of these indigenous cultures. One of the highlights of the Longhouse Museum is the Longhouse reconstruction itself. Visitors can walk through the structure and experience firsthand the communal living arrangement that characterize these indigenous societies. The museum also features interactive exhibits that bring the history and culture of the indigenous peoples to life. Through these exhibits, visitors can learn about topics such as storytelling, traditional games, and the significance of the land and natural resources to these communities. Additionally, the museum offers educational programs and workshops that allow visitors to engage more deeply with the exhibits and learn practical skills such as beading, pottery making, and storytelling. Overall, the Longhouse Museum serves as a valuable resource for promoting cultural understanding and appreciation for the rich heritage of the indigenous peoples of the Great Lakes region. Its exhibits, collections, and educational programs provide visitors with a deeper appreciation for the resilience, ingenuity, and cultural contributions of these communities. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Warmth, sustenance, and survival were all bound up in one for our ancestors. 300 years ago, a single pot of corn broth simmering quietly on a hearth did double duty, nourishing the bodies and souls of a small Native American community, while also emitting comforting steam. The two things your body craves most when the night assails you with icy fingers. You do not merely consume the warmth, you inhale it deeply, letting the heat saturate every pore, chase out the chill, and remind you that yes, there are worse things in the dark, like hypothermia. Now, when you gather around that fire with family or friends, there's really only one way to take in all that primal goodness. You huddle close. But for centuries past, huddling wasn't enough. It was the one luxury longhouses didn't have, a place for everyone to squeeze in together. Huddling took place on mats or hides, sleeping bags, or whatever else one could find lying about. But mostly, it occurred curled on the floor, a position so undignified that even animals refused to stoop to it. Humans will, though, when survival compels. In winter, the math was always cruel. For each person added to a longhouse, the more stuff needed to keep them alive. More wood to burn, more meat to butcher, and more hides to string together for coverings. The only thing you can really skimp on is space. To solve this problem, architects built roofs with low-slung beams so residents could sit up easier, cook better, and just generally feel less like they were living in a metal replica of an Egyptian tomb. These longhouses might have been 60 feet long, 20 wide, and 15 feet high, big enough to fit 50 people comfortably. But how do you build a roof that looks like that? I hear you ask. Well, with wooden columns spaced 8 feet apart, strong enough to bear the weight of a thick layer of bark, thatch, mud, and dirt. In other words, a full-on earthen mound over your head. This gave the dwelling an insulating effect, similar to today's modern homes, with their trusses and fiberglass insulation. Except unlike modern homes, longhouses were designed with sustainability in mind. When the roof's thatch needed replacing, for instance, occupants could just harvest more reeds and sedge from nearby marshes. Yet for all the longhouse's genius design features, there remained one critical flaw: smoke, or rather, what to do with it. The cooking fires burning within the structure produced an inevitable byproduct: smoke. And if you've ever cooked indoors yourself, say during a power outage or camping in a cabin, then you know firsthand how quickly that stuff can make you nauseous. Your eyes water, your throat scratches, and all your clothes smell like you lit a bonfire made of rubber tires. It wasn't hard to realize that inhaling wood smoke all day presented a serious health hazard. So architects solved the problem by cutting neat little holes in the bark roof, allowing smoke to escape directly to the outside. But this posed another problem. Smoke shafts meant trouble when snow fell, because now ice particles were free to trickle down through the smoke hole and blanket the interior floor in frost. That's the last thing you want after a long winter's night. Stepping barefoot onto cold stone feels like stepping into a bucket of ice water. And since nobody wants to sit cross-legged on an icicle, households had to do some quick math. Whenever a storm blew in, When it snowed, they had to block off their smoke holes, sealing up the precious warmth inside. The details of how exactly they managed this vary depending on who you ask. Because unlike the longhouse itself, which has survived largely intact for centuries, our accounts of smoke hole management are a lot sketchier. Some historians claim entire families volunteered to guard the openings, sitting or standing by all night to adjust bark slabs or even plug gaps with moss or clay. Others, however, dismiss this idea as unrealistic, pointing out that such a responsibility would likely rotate among members of the household, and that seems much more likely. After all, we're talking about something pretty rotten stinking right there. Just picture the scene. It's nighttime. You're hanging out with your family inside a smoky, dimly lit longhouse, eating dinner and telling stories. Suddenly, someone's summoned to smoke hole duty. They don your warmest coat, grab a sturdy stick, and trudge to the ladder leading up to the roof. You shimmy up the bark siding and push aside a slab to reveal the opening. Then you poke a smaller piece of bark, currently serving as a makeshift shutter. With a longer stick, you prod the flap back and forth all night, keeping out the worst of the wind and snow. And of course, making sure the smoke below doesn't suffocate everyone in the longhouse. A tough job, but somebody's got to do it. Each shutter required constant attention, so smoke hole duty often fell to children or the elderly. A grim reminder that life in a longhouse wasn't all fun and games. And yet, in spite of the inconvenience, smoke holes worked surprisingly well, generating adequate ventilation to keep smoke levels low, and even recycling warm air back into the building. When temperatures plummeted, families could close their smoke holes tighter and snuggle up on the floor for warmth. Some historians even claim that smoke recycling improved indoor air quality, thanks to the introduction of fresh pine smoke, which contained antimicrobial properties capable of killing certain bacteria and viruses. Now, that might sound a little too good to be true, and it probably is. We've cherry-picked our sources a bit here. Not every historian agrees that longhouses recycled warm air or that the smoke had any health benefits. But either way, it makes for a charming image. Families spending their nights in the flickering glow of firelight, sharing stories with friends and relatives until their eyes grow droopy and the embers fade to glowing coals. They roll up in blankets and settle in for bed, breathing clean pine-scented air and dreaming of warmer days ahead. I can't help but wonder if the smoke hole flaps stayed shut, though, blocking the precious heat inside. Did anyone ever dream of hotter days ahead? If you enjoyed this episode, then feast your ears on this one, where we talk about houses in the sky. See you there.